Hey, what's up, everybody? Bitcoin is at the 702 Fibonacci. It just broke above it with less than 2.5 hours to go for the weekly close. The big thing. Can Bitcoin on this interesting Sunday, right? Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Who saw that coming? Everybody. So we are right at the 702. This is amazing. Can Bitcoin close the weekly candle above the 702? I think we can. It's looking pretty good here. But if we don't, it's actually not the end of the world. I would expect actually a lot of resistance in here, a lot of resistance in here. And even if we did break above it, I'm still expecting us to sort of flag out in here. And we're going to jump into all that and more in today's video. But first, I mean, Kamala Harris, right? At the end of the day, she's still a puppet. She's still Joe Biden's agenda, right? Which is actually not Joe Biden's agenda. It's people higher than him that are controlling him, right? And basically that revolves around central banks, which don't like you to be in crypto, right? They look at crypto as competition. They don't want nothing to do with competition because they want to rule the financial system, which they already do, right? But crypto is a vehicle for all of us that could unlock wealth and time with your family. Because for me, the most important thing in the world is time, right? It's the most, we only have a limited amount of time. And if you're doing that, working a job, which most people have to do, and most people will continue to do so, that's what we got to do. But what time we have left, we do what we want to do, right? You like to go fishing, you like to go hunting, you like to go dirt bike riding, you like to go play baseball, basketball, football, right? Go play golf, whatever. Be with your family, right? And the more time you can do the things you love, the better life is, right? So the only way for me to get to that place is to have a source of wealth that I can tap into, right? And the only way that's going to happen is if we do the right things, right? And for me, that's crypto. I mean, there's nothing else out there, right? Unless I have a college degree at something that's like going to make me a lot of money, right? Or if I'm going to be a Hollywood actor, right? It's just not going to happen, right? A famous whatever. It ain't going to happen. Maybe for some people, but not for me. And that's someone from who actually was in Hollywood and actually acted a few times. Believe it or not, never said that before, but it's true. It was more like an acting school. But I got a couple things, and it just, for me, it was way too much work, believe it or not. And there's just so much competition, right? A white guy with brown hair, gee, where can we find one of those, right? It's just, you're not gonna, it's just too much, right? So that wasn't for me. What is for me is trying to figure out how to be the best investor I can, right? And all that comes down to is being in the right class, right? The best asset class. I could be in the stock market. I could be in the gold and silver, which it's fine, but there's nothing that beats crypto. And the idea that I can go to my job and earn a paycheck and take that paycheck and turn it into 3 paychecks, right? Triple my money, or even more than that, is like the coolest epiphany ever, right? When you first, it's like a drug when you first experience putting, like, you go to Vegas and you put $100, you're going to lose it. Like, you will lose it. And but if you take $100 and you put it into Bitcoin, you have so much higher of a chance at earning, right? So that's why I don't understand why people gamble when they can simply just invest. right? Because gambling is instant gratification, instant hit of dopamine because you instantly win. Investing is you put the money in and you don't get anything back for a long time. That takes discipline. That takes commitment. That takes, right, a lot of things. And I will be damned if you work this hard only to have Kamala Harris come in there and be president, or Joe Biden, it doesn't matter, and steal crypto away from us. Delay the inevitable outcome of crypto's success, future success, right? Because I want to live in a world where we have utility driven markets. And all of that comes with regulation. And Joe Biden will stand in the way of that. Oh, well, it's really Obama, right? Obama controls Biden. Biden controls Harris. The banks control them all. The banks don't like crypto, even though they might pretend to say so, right? So anyways, that was my little rant there. Forgive me, but hey, I just had to come out and say it, right? We got big news today, right? Obviously, it's the weekly close. Obviously, it's been a really heated summer, right? I mean, it's been wild already, and we still got 100+ days until the election, so anything can happen. So we got to stay on our toes. We got to really be vivid, right? Be aware of your surroundings, understand what's at stake, but understand, right, not to be fearful, but to take charge and believe in the future that you deserve. And all of us deserve that future because we've been fighting all of our lives, right, to make something of our situations. And again, the most valuable asset in the world is time. Time is the most precious thing, right? Because that allows that vehicle with you and your family and what you love to do. And crypto is the vehicle that will get us there, right? Crypto is the vehicle, in my opinion, not financial advice, but it is the only vessel I see, right? So my money is going to sit where? In the bank? Or is it going to be working every day, going up, going down, going way, 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 way down, going way, way, way up, but ultimately it goes in the right direction. So when I look back 5, 10, 15 years from now, I could have thought to myself, I did everything I could to provide for me and my family, but also to establish my own time, right? And maybe one day we'll get there, right? Where we don't have to wake up and go to a job and work, right? Maybe you love doing your job. That's a totally different situation. But we all want to do things we love doing. So crypto, all I'm saying is that vehicle. Maybe we have to wait a couple of years. Maybe we have to wait longer than that. Maybe it might take you investing multiple times for you to get a sizable or a decent bag. So by the time that price discovery does occur, you would have a lot more to show for. And it might take 2 cycles. It might take 3 cycles. But whatever it takes is whatever it takes is what we have to do. That's all I'm saying. So, all right. We have a massive, bullish, engulfing candle. This thing has engulfed all of these candles, right? It's engulfing this candle over here. It's engulfing all of these candles, right? We haven't seen a candle like that since back over here, basically in February. Right? Obviously, this one's a lot bigger. So this one's about equal size. So anyway, we crossed that 68,000. We're basically super close to this support area. Or sorry, resistance, right? And what I imagine happening here is obviously if this is a wave 1, this is a big wave 1, guys. This is a massive wave one, because this wave one got us to the 702, right? Because what we've been saying is we want a big wave one so that when we get to wave three, we've already cut through most of the challenge of the retracement levels, right? Think of number three as your strongest horse. You want your strongest horse, right, to be in a position to make you, or to for you to win, right? And the best way to that for that to happen is getting out in front early on, right? And that's what we're doing with our wave one. So let's see if this thing can continue a little bit higher, but we want to see eventually this thing's going to flag out in here. I would imagine, right? I would imagine some kind of correction before the breakout. That way, when we start this third wave, we're starting it from a much higher point. We're starting it from up here, right? I mean, we can technically come all the way back down to the bottom here, right, before going higher, right? Wave one, wave two. A lot of times wave twos can be very deep. We just don't know it. But based on the size of these candles, I don't see us getting completely down there. So let's jump into, for example, like the 2-day chart. Or actually, let's go to the daily. You could say we had a 9 sell and it was totally ignored. That's because we had the correction in 7 and 8, right? So it wasn't a perfected 9 per se. It actually was, because it ticked the top. But I don't like things that don't consolidate enough before that next leg higher. So for example, when we had that 9, I would have liked to see a little bit of consolidation. But this thing is pumping, it's strong, it's healthy. Let's let it go. But essentially what we've wanted here is a 5-wave move, and that's exactly what we got. Because if this came up in 3, I would have been saying it's not looking good. We probably got more downside, but it actually was a 1-2, right? And this is wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. Or you could argue that this is 1-2, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the third wave, right? And I think that's the case potentially because you can see the degree in this wave 2 and the degree in this wave 4 is equal. So it wouldn't be in the, it would sort of be in the same degree. So maybe this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is wave 3. Then we get a wave 2 similar to that, right? Then we get wave 5. And that could be very, very interesting, right? Because then we start breaking above these areas, and then we start to have that bigger correction, right? And then we continue to break out. So either that is going to happen here or it's going to happen up here. But either way, I think this is it. We're gearing up for something big. Now, do you buy now? Do you buy later? Do you FOMO in? You know, it depends what you're looking at. Would I buy Bitcoin right now? No. Why? Because we had 5 waves, we're on a 9, right? And we're right in the middle of the retracement level. So I would rather wait and see what happens here. But obviously, we could break out. If we start, you know, getting above the 786, then I'm going to start to think a little bit differently here. But I'm still, without a doubt, really wanting this thing to finish up somewhere up here, right? If you have a wave 1 that finishes between the 618 and the 886, you've already got yourself a massive win, because when you get that third wave, it's going to be huge. And anyway, so let's look at the smaller time frames a little bit. And here's the big thing. I wasn't going to do a video today, but you know, I was looking at crypto, it was down. I'm like, okay, we got a correction here, right? But then crypto just all of a sudden blasted off in the last couple hours, right? Actually, let me go down to the 1 hour so we can see. So this is 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours now. So basically in 4 hours, we went up about 3.5%. On Theta, We went up 7%. 7 in 3 hours. That's amazing, right? Sometimes you don't even get 7% for the day. We just had 7%. We were down 3%, and then we climbed up plus 7%. That's amazing. That shows some sort of massive interest, right? Especially when you have this big wick right here. But let me zoom out a little bit. And what did we say the other day, right? When we were examining this fifth wave, right? So this is, I love when things work out like that. So what we said was, this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And I think that's the case here. But we were looking at this fifth wave here, right? So if we look at the fifth wave, what did we say? We needed 5 waves, right? And where were we? We were somewhere over here. We didn't get that yet. So we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or actually, I would say 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd probably end it here, right? Because it maybe looks like an expanded flat. So either here or here, but it doesn't matter, right? Because we got a 5-wave move here. So I think this is, we should be getting a correction soon, guys, right? Because unless this thing, again, if it breaks out, right? Because we could be revving up, and I really want to talk about that. That's going to be sort of, that's a big deal what I'm about to say here with theta. So you got to stick around. But essentially, right, we got a 5-wave move, and it doesn't really look finished yet. So, and it couldn't have came at the best time. It's coming right at the what? It's coming right at the weekly close, right? If we're pumping into the weekly close, that's a good thing because it gives us the strongest close possible. But then it sort of sets you up next week for a retracement. So this coming week, we could have a bigger retracement. But essentially, right, let me zoom out a little bit here. We only have this much to go, right? But you can see that cluster of candles in there, right? There's a lot of clusters in here, right? And this is going to be important when I jump into theta. But essentially, if I turn on the RSI, you can start to see bearish divergence. We're starting to see 5 waves. We also are getting 5 waves in the 5th wave. So I would imagine, guys, that we're going to stall out somewhere in here. Somewhere in there, we're going to stall out. So, and then what? And then I want to see a big correction, some like a bull flag or something, right? That gets us down maybe to the 618. Let's see if I put this on approximately there, up to there. I'm probably gonna say between 60 and 62K. I think that's it. I don't think we're gonna go below 60. We very well could, right? Maybe 59, but I think we're gonna stay above 60. We'll find that out. I don't like saying that because it's always, you know, a big what if. But essentially, we have that 618 right at 59K. So that's always up for grabs, right? The infamous 618 retrace. You know, that people talk about that all the time. Oh yeah, 618 retrace, 618 retrace, right? That's because usually when it corrects, it likes to go to the 618. But if this thing gets a little bit higher, maybe we might not have to go below 60 again. So we'll see. But yeah, that's about it for Bitcoin, right? And what we've been saying with Bitcoin, the overall thing here, and let me just do that real quick, is that we were examining this as a 5th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So, you know, we called the top here. We said, look, this is a big area. We're going to get a correction, right? We didn't know if it was going to be a single correction or a double correction, right? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, 1, 2, 3, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C. So we had an A, B, C. And now that's the best thing you can get, a 3-wave shape. And even more cooler than that, we had a 5-wave move off the ABC. I mean, you can't get any more bullish than that. A 5-wave move that takes us beyond the 702 in the first wave, right? So that's pretty strong. So we get a pullback and we get a big third wave. Then the third wave doesn't have to deal with all of this challenging resistance areas, right? So again, looking for Bitcoin to stall out somewhere up in here and then continue to correct. Now, if we can break out of here, like something like this, and then we break the top, then I'm going to be looking at it as a back test. I want to stay above this area. If Bitcoin breaks above this area, then you better stay above that area, because the worst thing Bitcoin can do, right? We really don't want it to break out yet, because if it breaks out, it's going to look like Wyckoff distribution. Because if we break out and then we come back in, right, it's going to look like a false breakout, and then people are going to sell off. We don't want that, right? We don't want Bitcoin to break above this high. And I'm probably one of the only people that will tell you that, right? Everybody else, we want it to break out, we want it to break out. But you don't understand. If we break out now, then we still need a wave 2, right? Because if this is all part of wave 1, and then we break out, and then we get a wave 2, that means we're probably not going to hold this area, right? Because if we break out, we better hold this area. If we don't, it's not going to look that good. I mean, it's still possible to continue higher, right? And maybe that's what happens, but it's a lot more of a risk is what I'm saying. So either flag out now or flag out later. Regardless, it's coming, right? So let me show you something on THETA. You're going to want to see this. Look at this. That was my drawings from a little bit earlier. Basically explaining the same thing here. Okay, so look at this. Let me go to the 2-day chart here. And what do we see? We see a massive, well, first off, let's start with the basics. We have a massive bullish hammer candle here on the 2-day chart. And we're breaking above what? We're breaking above this swing high. Remember yesterday, or not yesterday, yesterday we were saying we needed to break above it, because when we look at the 8-hour chart, look at Theta's breaking out right now, guys. Look at that. It's breaking out right now. Basically, we were right here. So we were underneath all this. And you know, coins like ADA and a few others, they had already broken above. So I said, watch out for Theta, because it's going to probably come up right behind it. And that's what we got. And we also have a 5-wave move in Theta that's breaking above this high, 1, 2, right? This could be another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get 4 and then 5, right? So all of this would be wave 3. Or it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll see, but I don't think it's finished yet, right? Yesterday, we were here and we were getting stuck. Looked like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but wave 3 wasn't big enough for me, and it looked like it was flagging out. But we could have flagged out here, but the fact that we broke above it is a lot better. I'll tell you why. This thing can actually, guys, this thing can actually get to $1.90 very, very, very fast. So just be on the lookout. Dang it, look at this. In the last hour, man, I should have bought that. I wasn't paying attention though. I opened my phone, I looked just 3 hours ago, right? Or actually 4 hours now. 4 hours, we're up 8%. In 4 hours, that's crazy. We went up 8% in 4 hours just out of, just boom, right? So we didn't know, right, if this was going to be like ABC, but if it's breaking out, it could be still a running flat, or maybe even an expanding flat, or just a complete breakout, right? So what I wanted to say is I want to talk about $1.90, right? So I'm telling you right now, $1.90, okay? Look, right here. This is it right here. Check this out. I have this area right there, right? And that's probably where we're going. and it's probably going to be very fast. Why do I say that? Because of this right here. Look at this. This is a gap, guys. You can see right here, you have a cluster of candles, cluster of candles, cluster of candles, right? You have another cluster of candles. But where do you not have a cluster of candles? Right here between this and this. You can see there's a gap right here. So let me expand it a little bit. And you can see when we go into this gap, we sliced right through it. And then when we broke this, we sliced right down to it. So what I'm saying is, and actually I need to pull this down to here, right? There we go. So what I'm saying is, if we can successfully clear this and close above it, it could be, grand finale, a straight shot up to about $1.90, $1.91, right? So let me repeat that. If we can close above this, then it could potentially be a straight shot here. Why do I say a straight shot? Because there's no volume profile here. There's no resistance, right? It's basically an open gap. It's like an air pocket, right? So as soon as you breach that area, you basically slice right through it, just like how you slice right down. So now the way it resolves itself is, you can call that a fair value gap. It's a gap in price, right? So just like you gap above, you gap below, and now look, here's the resistance right here before the next resistance is way up here. So you can see all that open space. So what I'm saying is, if we can shoot up here, then how does the gap resolve itself? Well, let me show you. I extend it out a little bit. Actually, let me remove everything off the screen so we can have a clean chart here. I don't like a messy chart. So essentially, right, we get up here, somewhere up here, and then, we cruise up. It could be very fast, right? Because look how fast that was. Look how fast that was. And then essentially, then you pull back and you fill in the gap, right? Now you're starting to build a cluster here to basically act as a support beam, right? Because there's a weak point in price. Think of this like the kneecap, right? And the kneecap needs to have support, right? So you want to come back down and fill it in, and then continue to rise. That way you hit the top, you hit the bottom, and then you sort of have a cluster here, just like you had a cluster here, and that provides more support for long-term sustainability, okay? That's what it does. It provides a lot of support. So, okay, now here's the big thing. This is like a double grand finale. Check this out. Is there anything that can give us some confluence? Well, a lot of times, right, when you start off as a wave one, just like I said, we want the wave one to be as big as possible. So if Bitcoin's wave one, right, is way up here, then why can't Theta's at least go to here, right? Which I believe it is. I mean, it looks very bullish, right? And it's like, well, maybe, are we going to FOMO? Are we going to FOMO? Are we going to buy in? Well, that's the thing, right? From a trading perspective, you got to be disciplined. From a hodler's perspective, you want to be dollar cost averaging, right? So you don't really care where the price goes, but as a trader, you do. You want certain setups. And if we have a 5-wave move, it's getting exhausted, guys. Now, there is a gap here between here and here, so we could come up and hit it, right, before pulling back. So what you can do, how do you play this? Well, you could buy the breakout, or you can wait for it to come out, and then you wait for it to back test, and then you buy here, right? So I would actually feel more comfortable doing that, because we might just go up and then come back down. You know what I mean? It might just come up and then come back down, then come up. You know what I mean? So we have a 5-wave move. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 3-day green candles in a row, right? So that's 15 days. 5 times 3. Okay, so what was I going to say? Right here, how is there confluence, right? Where's the confluence? Well, look at this. Actually, let me look at the daily real quick. Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted right here. So, for example, let me go back over here. You can see right here, we had a 1, 2, and it was very fast. Do we have a 1, 2 over here? It is, but it's even way faster. It came up, it came right down. And then you seen wave 3 was sort of like a rev. It was revving up. And that's the key word for today. Rev, rev, rev. We're revving up in here. Okay, so just like many other times, I'm not going to get into the examples, or probably better examples on Bitcoin, but essentially you have this correction, right? And then you start revving up. It's kind of going up slowly and methodically, and it's not, it kind of goes up and it takes its time, right? So before you know it, it's way back at the retracement levels. And it didn't feel as bullish as getting there. But then you pull back and then you explode, you massively break out, because this thing right here was revving up. And that, my friends, could be exactly what's happening now. Look at this. Right here, this area right there is basically sort of gearing up for the big breakout, right? So this could be similar to what's happening here. Now, of course, it's very, very different because you have a long way to get back to the top. This, you were at the top very quickly, right? So what I would say is this area here being the top. So think of this being the top, right? And then think of this being the breakout. So we're going to break out here just like this, right? So essentially, we're revving up in here, and it looks really good. So comparing this to comparing that, I mean, to me, that's kind of the impression that I'm getting. And this actually looks more bullish, to be honest, especially the candle that we're on right now. So, yeah, guys, this is definitely worth considering here, right? I mean, look, we have the bullish divergence as well between the 4th and the 5th, right? And we talked about that as well. And I'm still in my trade, right? Remember the trade I've shown a few times. I'm still holding it. So it's doing quite well today. And just like you had bullish divergence here, you can't really see it as much, right? And then you sort of revved up in here, right? We're revving up, and now we sort of want to break out. Now, we don't want bearish divergence, but it's inevitably going to come. What I mean by that is you can see right here, you can see this high and here, right? Same thing, this high and this high. So if these are equal, but this is slanted or going down, that's bearish divergence, right? But it's normal, it's to be expected, right? So what needs to happen? Well, we need to get this thing to cool off. Either this needs to break out, right, like this, and you'll have more divergence, but eventually it needs to pull back in here. So I'm expecting between this area, which is between $1.60 and $1.92, right, to sort of oscillate between $1.92 and $1.60. So sorry, I just keep getting phone calls. What was I saying? So yeah, we have this gap in here, and essentially I'm thinking we're going to fill it and we're going to pull back and close it, and that is going to reset the RSI so we don't have that bearish divergence anymore. We want this to kind of come back down and reset, right? And the price can actually go sideways as this is going down, right? And then break out. That way it has more room, you know what I mean? So that's sort of what I'm thinking is going to happen. Now, are we going to break out today? Are we going to break out tomorrow, right? You can see we're pulling back a little bit. I mean, we went up 7% in 4 hours, right? So we can see the extreme bearish divergence here on the 1 hour. So you could see the RSI is going down, this is going up, right? And we couldn't quite break the top here. So is this the beginning of the correction? We'll see. I mean, again, we went up about 7-8% in a very short amount of time. So this thing can come down and reset, get an ABC, and then continue higher. Just like how this reset to continue higher. So we're comparing that to that, right? So, you know, and that's the thing. That's why you just don't want to FOMO, right? Remember, we were looking at it just 10-15 minutes ago and this thing was pumping, right? So if we look at the 5-minute chart, you can see we got a 5-wave move right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what if we pull back and we sort of align ourselves with this, right, and then continue higher? That's definitely a possibility, and that can be resolved by a couple hours, right? So, you know, that's why we want to pay attention here. If we get a 3-way pullback, that might be a good little trade setup for some people, including myself. Not financial advice, right? So that's about it for Theta. I guess I said what I needed to say. But all in all, here's the most exciting part. If Bitcoin can break out, which it's only a matter of time, right? We still need that wave 2. Remember that. So I think what's going to happen is Bitcoin is going to finish its wave 1. Actually, let me put Bitcoin back here. There we go. And let's go to percent. There we go. And let's look at this. So, you know, once Bitcoin starts to flag out, that's when I'm thinking Theta is probably, you know, going to catch up, either coming back up to here or even up to this top area here, which is actually about $2.50. And then, you know, because it's kind of lagging behind, right? Bitcoin moves first, then Theta slowly starts to follow. But then once Bitcoin tops, that's when Theta catches up quickly. And then once Bitcoin flags out, that's when Theta is just beginning to flag out, right? And then when Bitcoin finally rips, Theta is still sort of lagging behind, but then eventually it catches up. You know what I mean? So that's why it's good to track Bitcoin ahead of time, because we can kind of predict what's going to happen with the alts. So yeah, very, very, very interesting dynamic here happening. So expect, you could see, right, Bitcoin is sort of back at this top area. So if we match that, that would be somewhere up here, right? So we can maybe get up here in due time, right? And then get that 5th wave, and then get a bigger correction before breaking out, right? Sort of like a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, right? So it could be big, it could be small. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. But that's what I really wanted to say today. Anything else we can touch on really quick here? I mean, you can see Ethereum Classic is still doing very well, right? Remember, we were comparing that to Dogecoin, which is this chart right here. So, you know, pause the video and look and just compare, you know, what Dogecoin did back in the day, right? It came up, it's doing all these unique wave structures. Same thing what's happening with Ethereum Classic. So, and we know, and this was before Dogecoin blasted off incredibly, right? It really put Doge on the map, right? So I think that's right when Elon started talking about it. So anyways, Ethereum Classic, we have a beautiful three-wave shape, ABC, right? And we have a very powerful wave 1 so far. If this thing breaks, it can actually get us back into the 618 of this wave that we came down, right? So we go wave by wave. So that's somewhere up here, right? Get up here and then flag out. So that's what we really would like to see, is that wave 1, like just with Bitcoin, get between the 618 and the 886. And if we can do that, at least get to the 50. And if we can do that, then flag out, then break out. So, yeah, it's looking very, very interesting. Let's see. Let me put this to log here. Here's a really good example. Very good example here. So obviously we had the big run up, we had the big crash, right? Or the big ABC here. And then what happened is we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had a 5-wave move, and then we sort of flagged out in here. We sort of had a running flat right there, and then we continued higher. So that was a running flat. So if we sort of translate that to where we are now, you can kind of see where I'm getting at. So this is kind of what I'm thinking here. Something along the lines of this, right? Where we're sort of at that little interesting moment where we come up, we hit the retracement level, have sort of a running flat or something, and then we continue higher. You can see a shoulder, a head, a shoulder, and you can see the downward resistance line here. So I'm expecting, if we just draw a line here, to sort of get right back there. So we'll see how that plays. But as far as anything else, still looking bullish for CRV, kind of just going sideways a bit. ADA, I mean, same thing for ADA, right? Getting somewhere back up here and then sort of flagging out, right? Now, I was originally going to say flagging out down here, but since it turned into a much bigger wave, we have to sort of count it differently. That's why you kind of don't want to say a certain thing. You always want to be reanalyzing it based off the new information. So since this wave, the way it looks, just gives that impression, right? You can see we're not going down. You can see we're going sideways. We're not correcting through price. We're correcting through time. That is very, very bullish, right? You can see 1, 2, 3. We're flagging out here. We're probably going to get a wave 5. And that wave 5, just like what I think is going to happen with theta, is get back up here, right? And then kind of flag out a bit. Now, if we can break that and flag out up here, hey, that's even better. Well, we'll see how it reacts in this midpoint right here. It's all going to come down to that point right there. So XRP, got to touch on XRP. XRP is like already back to this area, right? So, I mean, you could look at it as on the daily 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get 5. And then flag out in here, right? So that's basically what the whole story is with crypto, right? It came up quite fast. So you maybe when we go sideways a bit, hit the high, and then pull back and then go. Just like what we saw with Ethereum Classic, right? Yeah, that's about it. This week is going to be very interesting. And it's only Sunday, right? So anyways, that'll do it for this video. Thank you for tuning in. Please, if you can, hit that like, hit subscribe. Definitely hit subscribe, because I'm going to be, going over a lot of things that are going to unravel rather quickly. So if you want to stay up to date on that, then definitely click subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Cheers.